3, 2, 1.
Very hard to do in Los Angeles right now as an art major, as an artist.
You've been back now in Perth for around about 2 years, and you've been in this particular studio at the Fremantle Arts Centre since the beginning of this year.
Yep.
And tell me a bit about the work that you're now producing.
Now working on it's a series. It's called Carbon Supremacy, and its working title I've got continuous exhaustion, continual combustion. So it's all about sort of exhausted forms. And I started doing the little maquettes. This is what I need to point and shoot and run.
Okay.
I started doing the little maquettes in the corner, like you can't read this one, the smaller ones. Tinkering in when I was in Glasgow, going through this weird experience. And now, it also connected, I guess, is an idea that within my practice before, because I've always used vehicles, and I guess one of the things I've done before was I've dragged the contents of a house behind vehicles and sculpted them with a vehicle engine, and was always aware that there is that combustion and that velocity and that violence at work, which is my nice connection to modernism, which I like too. That that's all connected. But it's something I hadn't really drawn out in the work. This kind of more, I guess, ecologically minded sense. I hadn't really explored what that is. Avoiding the kind of trying to avoiding all the kind of cliches that go with that. And I wanted to. I'm working now on this kind of. It's an installation of which these are elements, and it's actually going to be. I think at this point in time, as I mouth these words, it's going to be a very dark space, very black, almost like all the air's gone out of the room. I want it very oppressive, very intense, very bass, with these kind of slightly, at the end of sort of cycle exhausted forms kind of coming out of and whether people have to crawl into the there's very kind of claustrophobic kind of feel in there going on. So they're all articulations of that, and they connect to kind of obviously like radiator forms, engine parts, turbines, intakes, dissipators from weapons and guns and all sorts of funny stuff that cool, all this. They're all observed from that kind of stuff, and for me quite representational. So it's a bit weird because I've always been not against representation, but I've never really, in a way, kind of dealt with it properly. So they sort of function like drawings for me in a strange way. Yeah.
Although when you look at machine parts or anything that is kind of mass produced, often it is quite. They are quite abstract forms.
Yeah.
I can see, for instance, in the piece just back there, that it could quite easily just work as an abstract piece, but also it actually does look a little bit like a jet engine turbine.
Turbine, absolutely. Yeah. That's definitely the international travel, all this, the movement of people, and I've also got down below a cubic meter, which is this kind of value structure that I brought in, especially after coming back to Australia after however many years, and the kind of all the land prices and everything, and it's one of the, it's my version of, it's one of the kind of foremost kind of areas of contestation, like the price of a cubic meter, people coming, trying to find space for themselves, and what's the value in that, and what's the arguments over it on. You're going, it's space and room, and you could look at that as you buy gravel in whatever cubic meter form, or gold, or whatever it is, all this kind of, so that's, I'm just working out how these things express themselves, I guess, through, and the materials are crucial too. That's the other thing I should mention. They're mainly formed in wood, some recycled, some purchased, the different types of timber. Some I actually brought back in a crate from Canada. There's Tasmanian oak in there, so it's all about, carbon. Everything's obviously made of carbon, but it's using, it's like this loop of consumption as well going on. So they're obviously burnt with gas.
So you're using a blowtorch on the surface,
oxygen, LPG. So controlling them with controlled combustion, I guess, and fire, and just leaving enough structure in there. So they look very burnt out. And again, that's trying to laminate that idea of I guess that was hooked into my back as I left the UK, like exhausted. It's the end of empire. It's the exhaustion of that kind of stuff. Which is brilliant, and I think that's everyone's heading. It's the return. It's the kind of trade. It's like now deal with the UK. It's all that stuff's going on. They're exhausted forms, and I've got a nice little metaphor that I like to that helps to explain them. I guess is that I have this thing about the engine. Like the engine form, if you look at the car engine or the vehicle engine, or the idea of an engine, is the best metaphor for kind of culture we've got. And you can swap the word culture with kind of modernism, which I think is still going on. I think modernism is still active. I think it's still you can still find it in hardware shops and everyone making their own little utopias everywhere. And, this kind of thing. I think the engine is the best metaphor for culture because it moves forward. It's inexorable, it's continuous, it continually burns and consumes and exhausts, and it's just we're not quite sure yet what to do as a shift and a difference. So we're on the wagon, and it's very hard to get off. Which then it segues into the vehicle. That's why I'm connected to those cars, and I know they're giant kind of apex machines, but I have this kind of it would be false of me not to be connected to that stuff. It'd be weird, it wouldn't make sense. Yeah.
Do you want to tell me a bit about the car that you've got parked outside?
Sure. Yeah.
We can move back to
get the keys. This is a work in progress stool. I'll open. It's going to have it'll be lettered. Like I'll do the vinyl lettering. It's basically it's not a franchise of mine, but it's part of a character. It's one of the characters, like a character in a movie. The car functions in my practice like a character. These are called carriers. They're carrier series. This is number 4, possibly the most pared back one that I've done. It's been made over a 2-year period since I've been back. Possibly a good year and a half solid of work. Lots of swear words and bruises and torn tendons and all this kind of stuff. From the ground up, a restoration project. And it's produced as a tool and a device, eventually for filming, for making sculpture. And I'll pull things behind the vehicles and destroy them and film that process as well. And also, it's just a great tool. Chosen specifically because it's a 1979 80 model, and again, like I say, it's an Apex. It's a 351 engine, and this one specifically was an ex-SAS anti-terrorist vehicle from Swanbourne, which is down here. So used and specifically requested by the SAS guys, and it used to kind of. Not that you can creep around in these things, but it was used for airport reconnaissance and all sorts of strange things where they had trolleys in the back. And I've found these images online of the guys with the trolley and all the black outfits and stealth going on and all sorts of interesting things. So I like the fact that it was a sort of an inversion again from anti-terrorism, paranoia and that kind of militaria into kind of something a little bit more creative and a little bit more not positive. That sounds cheesy. I have no wish to be positive, The world has made me say that, which is good, but I've got to imbue that into the art. I guess that's a funny thing. I'm just a funny Glasgow. I know Dave Shrigley. I used to work with Dave Shrigley for a while as well, and he always used to say this thing about his art practice, that doing his work stops him going out and killing people and murdering people, which makes me sound like a psychopath. But you've got to use that energy. You've got to use that stuff. And I'm a sensitive soul. I'm an old romantic at heart, but I like the violence in culture around us. I like I don't like it. I respond to it. I like to kind of try to understand it and articulate it in some way. So, and again, I'm not going to stand back and do a little drawing or a painting of what that is or representation. I want to take it on properly. I want to kind of get involved. And if I've got to, get cut and bruised trying to do it and work it out, that's what you do. It keeps your practice real. I think it keeps it connected to things. So it's a form. Yeah.
Tell me what you're actually doing with the car. And how it'll end up? Yeah,
it'll get sort of. It'll have insignia on it. It'll just say carrier or migratory projects. That sort of. I guess it kind of brands it to my practice in some way. I'll use it for kind of dragging and destroying things again. My plan is that I also want to go out into Western Australia, into different landscapes, and get various shots of, the car moving, the engine parts, roads. I think uninhabited landscapes actually, which is sort of connecting me to that idea of being off grid and not necessarily the wilderness. And I'm not sure how that'll form into may be visuals that mash up with some of these objects. It might just be a texture that I use to project on things. But I like also that I'm interested in it's all produced from. I guess there's this idea of Dymaxion energy as well, about maximising the energy that comes off vehicles and things around us. So you've got velocity, you've got force, you've got heat, you've got all of these things going on in this item, in this one thing. So you can maximise all that stuff. So it's investigating that really, in physical form and everything else. So it's the presence of that car in space and what it does. And I also, I think it's interesting to have a street presence as well. That it has a bit of it's built with a clout factor. So it's not about an artist being gentle and sensitive and being foppish, I guess is the way. I think artists, it's something you can deploy. You can deploy artists and send them out and do things and overturn stuff, and and I think it's to do with the mobility of the artist, I guess, that to want of a better phrase, it's the agility of the artist to do things. And again, there's no mechanical training. I've learnt it by doing it. That's how I started most of my things. Lots of good advice and lots of friends have fed in to this, because you hit walls with these things. So it's quite a large 2.5 ton project. And then you've got to get it licensed. You've got to go. You've got to go to the government and say, is this okay to kind of. So that took a few goes, which is fun. I think that explains it. Yeah. There's an idea too. I mean, you'll find this interesting, I think, as well. That again, the nice mind of Nicola Burio has just, in the last kind of couple of months, has really helped me to kind of not to just latch in, but I read a couple of stuff and watched a few lectures, and he talks about this idea of the X form, which is something he's working on, and it's very much forms that came out of a kind of contemporary situation that have been pushed aside, or they've been sidelined as not so useful, or not current, if you like. And I guess my interest in restoration and recycling was always driven by that idea that there is still life in these things. Why do we need to buy new? Why do we need to upgrade? The stuff's okay. So there's a nice idea about the X form, bringing these things back from the sidelines and putting them firmly in culture again, which is something that these noting artists are doing. These observationals, and that's a very functional, pragmatic observation. It's not, it's a fantastic thing. So I think very usable as well. Which is, so I went, oh, fantastic. Hallelujah. Another thing I can swing into the philosophy bow and just to see what it is. So yeah, workshopping the idea right now as I'm talking to you.
It's okay.
You want me to do this steady
I don't know, because we were sort of I'll let you know.
I'll go back into the car.
How
you going? Good to see you.
What do you want me to do?
I think we'll be okay. Yeah?
I think so.
Yeah.
Thanks so.
Okay, yeah.
Unless you want to go for a drive in the beast. We could. So where was I at there? Yeah, the X form. It's just just a beautiful idea that laminates in, and I've always had this thing in that I've always liked. I think like anything, like research and philosophical awareness is actually crucial to art. It's all one and the same to me. So I really, and it's quite timely. It's kind of an interesting. Again, it's serendipitous that I'm working on this kind of stuff, and these things are kind of there, which is great.
Is this going to be part of the exhibition, the SPAN exhibition at Fremantle Arts Centre?
Yeah, it's certainly, whether the car will feature in that, we're not quite sure. Still kind of, it's certainly going to produce some of the work. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's formative in that. Whether it features outside and feeds power in as well. That's the other thing. Yeah, tricky again. One of the next ideas for this, which I completely forgot to mention, is that it's got an external power source too. So I'm going to connect a different alternator to it, put the panels on it, solar panels, and the idea is it will drive the power in the workshop. So everything is off grid. So everything's produced from residual energy from driving and polluting. You kind of store it back and feed it into the workshop. So it's completely off grid, which is that folding. That's crucial, actually. That's one of the reasons that the car exists, is to feed the energy back in. So
and you mentioned that you were going to drag objects behind So are you actually dragging some of these works that are in your studio?
Yeah, I drag the cubic meter. Like
okay.
Yeah, the plinth and I can show you the texture of that.
Yeah.
Great.
That's why it's marked.
Yeah. So it's directionally. So road surfaces, like roads are a sculptural tool for me. Like this, I've gotten interested in things that are formed in velocity too, like through velocity. So I've also been collecting. Those kind of, the ubiquitous car tyres at the side of the road, but they're specifically the ones that blow out and have kind of like diminished through speed and through movement. And I'm also, not that you can't really capture that, but I do quite like, it quite amuses me to go past, and you can't actually stop to get them, which is interesting. So it puts me into that idea that you're continually going forward and you can't stop for it. Oh, there was one, you fly by and it's gone. So it's kind of interesting, which is kind of a metaphor for life, I guess, as well. It's just, it's fun. That's the absolutely. So I've got a grand idea, a giant project, which I am looking for someone brave enough and financed enough to do. I can't tell you the idea on camera, but it's a large scale drag of, it's this thing I've been trying to do for the last, I guess, 10 years, but I've been so busy and so in between cities and moving that so I'm just looking for someone with space and a willingness to kind of, logistically quite an easy project, but it needs financing, so it's probably $100,000 project, but it's a dream.
I'm intrigued now.
It's a beauty. So that's something too. So these are all maquettes for this idea, I guess.
This is entirely off subject, but you've got a drum kit.
Oh yes. No. That I would love to say I'm a marvelous drummer, and I sometimes practice I know that's possibly This part of the installation is that again I drew a lot of stuff from when I was in Glasgow and North America, listening to a lot of music that was kind of informing the kind of texture and the vibe of what I was doing. They are the representation because I've got a side idea that I like this idea of a beat that's been, it's a literal representation, but I'm yet to. It might go into a kind of into a space that I make, like a welded kind of space, and the plan is with those to possibly double them up or triple the size of the drum kit and laminate them on. It just gets burnt and mangled and left there, so it's almost like the beat has stopped, like that pulse has stopped. It's the end of that, so it gives you a bit of a so that might all get, I'll say, wound up and twisted into the installation, because that's how it sort of goes. Nothing is placed; it's twisted or thrown in or dropped off, or that's the that's the So it's something you get to play with. That's a play. These are my little toys to play with. Things.
So you actually did specifically buy it for it to get incorporated into
to be mangled and burnt and charred, basically. So I have these things in the side that are part of my concept, but they'll sit there just to kind of, I'll glance over occasionally, they'll inform, and we bounce back and forward like ping pong until I go, you're shit, you're not good, that's going to work, that is going to, what's resonant and what isn't. And I tend to sit on things like that for a while. I can sit on things for a year or two or however long it takes and if it's still there like a couple of years in, I go, that's worth doing as a project. I think I don't believe in just doing art for art's sake. I think there should be a drive and a purpose and a connectivity to it as well. So I work in bursts, I guess. I have I go in 2 or 3 year bursts, and then I'll do something else, or I'll kind of go quiet for a while and I'll do something else. And
to what extent is the production of the work part of the thinking process?
Massive, I think, good question. The process is integral, to the point where I was writing materials this the other day, and I always start writing my processes because I think it's like material to me. Massively. I think my conceptual kind of alignment and processes have to be, they have to sandwich together quite nicely. So the very what's the word? Illustrative or symbolic or they shouldn't be separable. They have to be what's the word? They have to communicate the idea. The processes have to be aligned with the like I couldn't it's like I couldn't go away and do like a painting version of this that would just be sort of just awful. It would be a denuded, horrible form of it.
Does the process? Do you find in the process of creating the works that the process tends to create? Let me ask this differently. Do you find that in the process of the work, the process will affect the end product?
Yeah. No, good question. I absolutely. There's a certain amount of sensitive control and organisation that goes on, but I'm absolutely open to. I mean, interestingly, one of them blew over in the wind the other day, and it sort of shifted something and cracked. And I thought, brilliant, that's great. And also like dragging. I mean, things can, sometimes things can twist and bounce and go off in a direction, and I allow for that to happen. I think art. It's nice to have sort of art that's sort of resilient and can go through life and not be removed, and it gets back to that. Again, I've got to watch too much education going on, but I think it follows the 18th century. Like, it gets removed from the sphere, the public sphere, or it gets sidelined, and it's nice for art to take part in life. And I like durability. That's my interest in pragmatics as well. That's the sort of that it has to have some knowledge, and process has to have a greater purpose for something. I think it's interesting.
It seems that the dragging process might be about introducing a kind of a random element into the work.
I think it allows. I think chance could happen in terms of what you end up with that you can't predict. If you talk about it as in painterly terms, like a ground, you can't predict what you're going to get from that, or you could even talk about printmaking. Basically, you're never going to tell what you're going to get. It's not random, definitely not random in its in the setup and in the process of it. But I mean, things can just flicking back to years ago when I was doing household furniture and belongings and things. I mean, I was thinking, okay, that'll just be gently kind of slightly dinged in on the end, but something would just blow apart in 2 seconds. I did a lot of IKEA furniture as well, which just didn't last 30 seconds, which is interesting, as we well know. But it's interesting. So I find that quite. It amuses me in the work that failure could occur. Like, failure is built in. Failure is a really good, interesting thing. I think. Fantastic part of the process. If that answers it.
Finally, I was going to ask, because this is a question I tend to ask lots of people, and the drum kit made me think about this as well. Do you listen to music when you're working, and if so?
No, I don't. I hum a lot when I work sometimes, and talk to myself, which comes from being off grid a lot, actually. But I listen to music again in bouts to get energy from. If those times when you're tired, you've spent too long in the studio, too long at work, or you're a bit drained. Music puts energy back in, which is interesting. So I use it that way. And obviously these have been driven by sort of North American independent, sort of quite not dark music, quite what's the word? I mean, to me, quite poppy, but there is that kind of, it's that level of bass, that factor, there's something going on in the music. So it's something that I'm interested in sort of articulating similar textures in art as well, which is interesting. And I think that's sort of propensities people, whether they're attracted to certain types of music. And I'd say music where there is something going on, something happening. That's what I like. I don't like derivative stuff, as best as I can articulate that. But absolutely. So there is a connection to that kind of. And I think also there is. I think there's a strange sort of fascination with. I think music, like art, like certain materials in the world as well. There's elements of fear in things as well. Music, that subculture, a bit like artists have that. Like there's all of these things at work that I'm sort of trying to string together and pinpoint. If they happen to kind of enmesh. I think.
Thank you very much, Andrew.
Okay, thank you.
Take care.
Cheers.
Bye.